Dairy milks are better than others. Almond milk, for example, is a notoriously unsustainable non-dairy milk. About 80% of almonds are produced in drought-ridden California. Since it takes about 15 gallons of water to produce about 16 almonds, almond milk production has the potential to take a heavy toll on the state's environment, according to the UCSF Office of Sustainability. As far as environmentally friendly choices go, oat milk could be one of the most viable alternatives. According to The Guardian, oats are mostly grown in colder northern areas like Canada and Scandinavia, so growing large quantities of oats doesn't require the same levels of deforestation that many other crops do. Milks.
Not all milks are created equal.
As BuzzFeed reports, a serving of oat milk typically contains about 120 calories, 4 times the amount of calories in a serving of almond milk. That's actually not so bad when you compare oat milk to the average serving of whole cow's milk, which typically contains about 150 calories per serving. Skim milk, on the other hand, typically has around 90 calories per serving. If you're cutting out dairy because you want to cut down on your calorie intake, oat milk in coffee shops across the country. These versions are specifically formulated so that baristas can easily foam them up without having to switch up their steaming technique too much, and customers clearly love it. Have several potential health benefits, according to Good Housekeeping. In 2017, researchers found that this fiber can potentially boost your immune system on top of lowering cholesterol levels. One thing to keep in mind, Good Housekeeping makes a point to make coconut milk. While different oat milk brands have different protein counts, a 1-cup serving typically only contains about 3 grams of protein, and it doesn't contain a complete amino acid profile. Soy milk, on the other hand, is pretty thin. Began producing his own oat milk in the 90s while researching ways to produce milk alternatives for people with lactose intolerance. He decided to use oats because they're a particularly abundant crop in Sweden. Once he'd gotten the process down to a T, Usta founded Oatly, selling the milk to a small but devoted crowd of milk-loving Swedes for creating the modern oat milk craze. Almond milk. When it was first introduced to mainstream markets, almond milk quickly knocked soy milk, popular non-dairy milk, in the game, with almond milk sales reaching more than $1 billion back in 2018, according to Nielsen.
It's my job to test the product.
They've gotten a lot of flack recently for not being environmentally sustainable. Plus, the diversification of the non-dairy milk industry could present a potential threat to this nutty dairy alternative. Sales jumped from a mere $4.4 million in 2017 to $29 million in 2019. While that's a far cry from the $1 billion that almond milk reportedly made back in 2018, there's something worth noting. Most of the world's oats are used to produce animal feed, which means into American grocery stores. Not to mention the fact that the process of making oat milk can't be rushed. According to Delish, the company was working on building its first factory on American soil at the time of the shortage. The facility opened up in the spring of 2019, and the shortage ended thereafter. But in the meantime, Americans who absolutely needed their daily dose of oat milk took to Amazon, where vendors were listing cartons for upwards of $200. After the U.S. facility's opening, Americans have been pretty lucky. We haven't seen an oat milk shortage of that scale ever since. Water, a fine mesh strainer, and a high-speed blender. You'll want to pick up some high-quality rolled oats for this. Seriously, don't use Quaker instant oatmeal if you want a satisfying and creamy plant-based milk, despite what Wilfred Brimley tells you.
New Quaker Extra. It's the right thing to do, and a new way to do it.
To create the oat milk of your dreams, simply soak the oats in water overnight and blend them until they're smooth and creamy. Oh, and here's a helpful hack for you. You can add sweeteners